Hey, what's up, everybody? We are back for episode 46 of Make Friends Radio. And today we are joined by Seth Ahern. He is a Sammy Award winning DJ multiple times, an excellent producer, a band member of Elements of Soul, and the host of the wildly popular Bacterium Show on 94.7. Please welcome my friend Zephyr.
Hey, what's up, guys? Much love.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for taking time to be here with us, man. I appreciate that.
Hey,
Uh,
thanks for asking me questions.
Absolutely. So why don't we jump right into some of those so we can get to know you a little bit better? Anything you want to get off your chest before we get started?
Um, no, looking forward to a really awesome and productive year of connecting after connecting with so many people in 2020. So
Yes,
looking forward
sir.
to 2021.
Well, you have been doing a really good job on Twitch, man. I see your name in all the chat rooms and people are super familiar with you. So congrats on that success, dude.
Thanks, man.
Alrighty. So let's start with the obvious one. How'd you come up with the name Zephyr?
I'm from the time when you couldn't give yourself a DJ name like that. That's not like that was against the law. So kind of before we were Element of Soul, the original members of that band, we were kind of just monkeying around with like different ideas for like just a group name because we were just all hanging out and there was four of us.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to come up with something that was like there was only four of this thing, like some Lord of the Rings type stuff. And we came up with elements because there's four elements.
Sure.
And I was wind because I'm a Libra and balance, and my sign was wind. And there's multitudes of reasons why I was wind, but it would take too long to go into that. So when I needed a DJ name, someone suggested, well, maybe you should just be Zephyr because it's pretty close to Seth, God of the West Wind. And I instantly loved that. So instantly fell in love with it and just ran with it.
That's awesome, dude. It's a way cooler story than my name. I was just my birth name, Chris Shelton. But I went through a number of horrible DJ names, which I'm not going to say on air.
Oh, really?
But yeah, I ended up with just going with my regular name because it's less
Yeah, a lot of
ridiculous.
people do that, right? And that's timeless. When you go with your name, it's never going to go out of style, right? So
Yeah, when we stop recording, I'll give you the other ridiculous ones. So are you originally from Sacramento?
I am not. I am from the Clear Lake area,
Okay.
tiny little town called Kelseyville. And then I moved into Placerville, which is about 40 minutes towards Tahoe up the hill when I was 14. And that's kind of how I, found out with all the awesome Sacramento people because I was only 40 minutes away. So there was nothing to do in Placerville. So we'd go into Sacramento,
Sure.
you know.
Are you still up there?
No, I moved down to Sacramento, let's see, 6 years ago. Well, basically, once the DJ thing started really taking off,
Mhm.
it was just too hard to be in two places, even though I was still kind of in two places because I was still raising my son up there.
Mhm.
Never really brought him down here till he was 18. So yeah, so I moved down here when I was about 6 years ago to try to, further my career.
Cool, man. Well, you've definitely been killing it. You got a lot of accolades and tons of recognition, and you're one of my fiance's favorite DJs.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
she says you make her drive to work, you know, extremely bearable.
That's the idea.
Mm.
I'm super popular with the ladies. I've noticed like girls just love the show. It's very girly music, I suppose,
Hey,
but
you already know I'm
bless.
into it.
Right, right.
So, when did you first start getting into music, and kind of what was that process of joining a band? Like, how did that thing gel together and become what it is now?
Well, I was definitely into DJ stuff first. Being a young kid into gangster rap and then into drum and bass after going into raves. That's kind of how I got into music, got a pair of turntables and just
Mhm.
started DJing drum and bass pretty much for a while. And then I was always doing turntablism on top of that because I really like the hip hop aspect of everything. So I was always trying to scratch and try to, manipulate sounds with vinyl. And I knew four guys that were kind of just starting this band. No drummer, just singers and guitarists and bass. So they kind of asked me to come and make some sound. So I just kind of came over. They weren't really a band yet. They were still just practicing in their garages, and that's kind of all I ever did. So we just kind of practiced in the garage together. That's kind of how it formed.
Sure. So, what's your role? I mean, are you like just making the beats, or are you scratching over the top, adding melodics? What's your
Um,
kind of position?
Definitely turntablism for sure, scratching, sound effects. In the beginning, I had a drum machine,
Mhm.
and I would do all the drums because we didn't have a drummer. So in the beginning, there was a lot more for sure. Once the drummer came, I was able to focus more on doing a lot of like movie samples and stuff because I'm a huge fan of just like talking and quotes and stuff like that in music. So
Mhm.
I really tried to add that aspect to it. And then later on, once I learned more about music, I started adding synths and stuff and was able to like play along, which was really awesome. So that was great. The evolution was awesome.
Yeah, I was watching an interview of yours, trying to prepare myself for this, and you were talking a lot about your adventures as starting DJ. Kind of like what was your inspiration? Like, what brought you into that community? Was it just the introduction to the rave scene, or was there something or someone that stood out that kind of brought that kind of made you venture into that?
There was a driving force in the drum and bass scene, and I instantly connected with the drum and bass scene because, again, I was from rap and hip hop,
Hmm.
and drum and bass. When you're in the rave, it's all pretty foreign. Except drum and bass, they have an MC, and it's all kind of hip hoppy sounding. So it was very easy for me to connect to that.
Hmm.
And the biggest name back then, and still to this day in Sacramento for drum and bass, was Billy Lane. He was that one that was kind of organizing the rooms and throwing the parties. And he had 916 Junglist. He had this whole collective. He had a record store. So we could all go hang out when we were at the raves, and that was kind of the only place that I would ever connect with people other than being at a rave. And I was being from Placerville, didn't really know any of these people, but I would go to the record store and eavesdrop and try to hang out with people. So that was a big segue into it, was Billy Lane and all the things that he provided for us to connect and kind of make a family out of. And then he continued to inspire me around 2005 2006 when the rave scenes kind of died and drum and bass kind of started getting to the background of dubstep, started becoming on the rise.
Sure.
He kind of adapted to that and got a show on 106 or 107.9 The End at the time, doing top 40 house remixes and such. And I was super inspired by that. I was like, this guy knows how to adapt and he's able to make a career with it. So basically I was like, well, I'm just gonna do exactly what he did and try to do the same things he did. And he always helped me anytime that, I can't say that we're best friends, but anytime that I ask him for help, he always takes the time and, lays it out for me. And he's always done that. So I definitely credit him for being probably my biggest influence.
Nice. Shout outs to Imagine Music and Billy
Yes.
Lane. That's awesome, man. Yeah, Billy's been an inspiration for a lot of people on the scene and kind of he helped me get the Twitch show off, and yeah,
Nice.
he's been there supporting me since day one. So much love
That's
to
awesome.
Billy.
Yeah.
So, obviously you're drawn to hip hop and you're drawn to drum and bass. In the most recent time, I've kind of seen you venture into some really kind of more melodic, a little bit more peaceful sounds. What are your current styles that you're drawn to? Because it's not just drum and bass, it's not just hip hop. I tune into your channel and it'll be all across the board, mushroom jazz, all kinds of stuff like that. So clue me in on kind of that inspiration, what you're drawn to in the current moment. Like what is the sound that you are feeling?
Oh man, having that live music background, I really love the clash of organic and inorganic
Hmm.
in electronic music. You can get some really pretty melodic sounds, but also some grimy bass lines and stuff. I love that aspect of electronic music. And that ranges from drum and bass to dubstep, glitch hop, that's every genre that has that style in it. And I love to play every genre. I love to start from 1 BPM and kind of work my way through all the styles. That's always a really fun set for me. But Twitch this year has like gotten me to be able to re-get into drum and bass heavily, which I kind of fell off for a while because I'd always throw in a few drum and bass songs, and I always check on the scene a little bit, but I wasn't like super into it because not a lot of the parties that I was playing, like the people were really into drum and bass, so there's only so much that I could play. So I kind of stepped out of it for a while, but now having an avenue where I get to play whatever I want and nobody comes up and tells me what to play, it's going to be drum and bass. It's probably going to be liquid drum and bass. So that's probably my main genre right now. But yeah, anything with melody and anything with something that's like a little bit organic, I think that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, Twitch has been a trip for me, man. It's been people knew me a long time ago as a breaks DJ, and then I kind of stepped away from that and went into like the kind of mid-tempo glitch hop type stuff.
Yeah, like the mushroom jazzy. Man, you're always playing like the coolest stuff. And I love that
Thank you,
you
man.
have your
Appreciate
tracks
that.
on there because I'm always stealing your songs. So I'm always like, cool, I'll take that one. The most recent one, I got the Preacher Man drum and bass song that the remix that you played the other day. I was like, what? I gotta have this. So you'll probably hear that on Bacterium soon.
Nice.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, of course, man. That's why I put it up there, because I mean, it's like,
yeah,
there's no reason to hide the music, man. If it's dope, it's dope. Let's get people playing it. But yeah, so I've started this year to venture into like drum and bass, which is completely out of my wheelhouse. I mean, I've grown up in the community, I've been a part of that, through kind of breaks and just supporting everyone. But I've really kind of started to appreciate that liquid drum and bass sound, and yeah, just really feeling that.
It's fun to mix, right? Like getting two songs to go for a while. Like that's my favorite thing about drum and bass. It's the mixing aspect. It's like making that third song out of two songs. And that's where a DJ really shines. It's like, this is my creation. It's not somebody else's song, So, and drum and bass really gives you that ability to do that.
I wish I had the ear for that, like hard hitting stuff though. Like when I start to listen to it, like when other people play it, I love it. But like when I'm going to buy, it's like this little pretty song or this like smashing thing, and I'm like, I'm gonna go with the pretty one. 100% of the time.
Yeah, right. I feel like I'm always like buying on an intent on something. So I might hear something that's really awesome, but if it doesn't fit what I'm trying to like get at, I won't get it. And I'm like, damn it, I wish I would have bought that really intense song because I need that now. So, there's a time and place for everything.
I find myself every week like filling my cart with just like probably like 40, 50 records, and then like narrowing it down every week and just getting rid of just the aggressive stuff first. And then you're like, what's the likelihood of me actually playing this song? Pretty minimal.
Right.
We'll put that in a maybe list for next time. And then stuff that's just like, oh, that's really good, I just end up getting that. So
yeah, no, that's the way to go, man. Smart.
Yeah. So how did you end up getting involved with 94.7? Speaking of the Bacterium show.
Andy Hawk, who was a radio DJ personality on Quad 106.5, he was on 98 Rock as well. He was a big fan of Element of Soul. He had a few different kind of local venues that he would highlight, local talent, Powerhouse Pub in Folsom. He did a weekly show, and then he had this show, Local Licks, every Sunday night on 98 Rock. So like we were on that all the time, and he absolutely loved us. So he was a huge fan of the band. So when he was approached to start 94.7, he had this idea of doing like a mashup kind of remix show. And he knew that I DJ'd, and he knew that I played crazy dubstep and drum and bass, but he was kind of looking for some nicer, he knew that house would probably be the way to go. But he never said that to me. He just said, Seth, put in a mix. I got a few other DJs putting in a mix, and we're going to kind of see who, is closest. And somehow, even though I didn't have any house in the mix, I still had the best mix, apparently. It was just closest to what they were trying to hit, which was basically like, you go by decades, kind of. You try to hit all these decades, like you go 50s song and a 60s song, 70s, 80s, not necessarily in that order, but you're trying to hit this wide variety for this huge audience that you're trying to appease. So I was closest to that. So that's basically how I got it.
What do you think your standout song was from that mix? You remember?
Oh man, yeah, the Vanek remix of Muse. The really popular one, Supermassive Black Hole. It's a really, really strange, that song is really intense. Supermassive Black Hole, intense guitars. There's no guitars in this mix, and they take the vocals and just like chop it all up and just like really make his vocals stand out. And people were really stoked on that, because a lot of times like guitars will get in the way of people enjoying stuff nowadays, and people were like, wow, I really like his voice without all the guitars. So that was one that was like, wow, this is going to be really neat, because there's going to be all these songs that don't have guitars to get in people's way, or just like girls singing them instead, you know. So it was probably that song for sure.
Word, man, that's really cool. So, growing up in relatively in the area, we'll say, are there any DJs other than, the ones that you've mentioned that you remember from the radio? Now that you're in the radio realm, are there any people that you've drawn inspiration from that you can remember back in the day that were constantly on the radio?
I mean, definitely DJ Billy Lane, Eddie O'Doul.
Shout outs to Eddie.
Yeah, he was another a house DJ, but he was kind of like making me fall in love with house, because he was playing all these really cool remixes of stuff. So it was really easy for me to, it was easy for me to digest. So he kind of inspired me to like, it was okay to play house music. And then DJ Tao, who super big influence on me, because he had this show on 90.3 KDVS, the Davis station. It was called Insomniac Jungle Show. Every Wednesday, I think it was from 9 to midnight. But going to raves, all we ever heard was like really intense music. You never heard pretty music at raves, because they're like trying to pack the dance floors, so that's all I knew. And then that was my first kind of my first window into liquid, because DJ Tao would play all liquid on this radio station. So it was like a whole new avenue of music for me. It was like, well, it was drum and bass, but it was like all very pretty stuff, and it kind of led me to like other pretty music through drum and bass. So big ups DJ Tao.
Sure. Were you around when they had the Power 105.5 out here?
Yeah, that's where I heard Eddie O'Doul on the radio for sure. Yeah,
they had like Slim and Tofu had a show on there. A couple other local DJs.
Yeah, like 916 Jungler's show, right? That was on there for a little bit. Yeah, that was really cool. That was really neat. That was like the epicenter of, EDM in Sacramento. We had our own radio show.
At that point in my life, though, I was like really enjoying like the Don't Call Me Babies and the shiny disco balls. Like,
love that.
Yeah, it happened. That. What can I do?
Yeah, I love that Don't Call Me Baby. I try to throw that in every once in a while. That's a good song.
It's the classics, man.
Yeah, right.
So is the show is a morning show, right? The Bacterium. What time is it typically on? 7 to.
It's on at 8 a.m.
8 a.m. See, shame on me.
Anyways. It's been through some changes, bro. It started at 7:49, because that was 9:47 backwards, like back when we first started it. So that was very clever. But we've had some changes. The radio station's been bought out a few different times. So changes happen. You have to adapt. You kind of got to go roll with the punches. So we're on at 8 now. I have a commercial in the middle of the show. Didn't used to have that, but it is what it is. Still blessed to be on the radio show. So
that's really awesome, man. It really is. So is that something that you have to show up live for? Or you do submit a mix every week and they just play that?
We tried doing it live at first, but it was just too hard to get everything correct. And then I also like sounding like 100% no mistakes for that show. So I'll like go back and edit it, don't tell anybody, but I'll like make sure that I do
Hopefully
not.
No one hears it on this show.
I know, right? So, and in the beginning, like I would, catch that and I would listen back and be like, oh man, that's awful. A lot of people are hearing me like not be a good DJ. So I made sure that I could like put the best 100% mixes out. So in order to do that, I send them a week ahead.
Sure. I mean, that's awesome though. But I do think there's a little bit of kind of comfort that comes with those slight DJ, mess ups. I don't know if that's radio appropriate, but like when I hear a DJ mix live, I want to know that it's live. I like kind of hearing that them trying to struggle to get the beat on, or, trying to do this or that. And it just comes off, or maybe it's out of tune and that like the mix just doesn't work as well as they thought they would have. I personally kind of appreciate that. And I call myself out on that all the time because I
That humanizes you,
yeah,
right? Love that. People don't want to hear that. I'm not playing for DJs. You know, people don't want to hear that.
that's
Yeah, in the
true.
beginning, like I had to keep my mixes so short. Like they're like just in and out, Seth. We don't want to hear 2 songs together.
Yeah,
You know, so it took a long time to like make the show what it is and be like, no, let me try this. Oh, but maybe one rap song will be okay. Come on, guys. You know, so it took a long time to be where it is at today. But I'm really happy with what we've got. You know,
that's awesome, man. And again, congrats on the success. It's
thanks, man. Appreciate
everyone
that.
knows the show and everyone talks about it, so that's pretty awesome, dude.
Yeah.
So having said that, though, the obvious question that I have is, how much time do you spend trying to find these like radio appropriate mixes of whatever the pop songs are or the generational rock songs, whatever they are? How much time do you spend each week trying to find something new, or is there a lot of kind of like similar rotation every week?
Um, there is definitely similar rotation, but in order to make it fun for me
Mm-hmm.
and not get stagnant, I have to have new music. I think, as long as I kept up with new remixes, and if I played the same old remixes, I think people would be okay with that. But for my sanity, have to get new music. So I'd probably spend I probably every other day after I do a show, I'll hop on SoundCloud and spend 30 minutes to an hour, try to grab, 10, 15 songs, so there's, so it's a constant inflow of trying to find the music. So that's a constant job that never stops.
Word. Yeah, that's tight. Bandcamp is really good for that too. Like those kind of poppy current songs, people remixing them
Yeah.
in cool and fun ways.
Right. And sometimes you don't like have to necessarily pay for the Bandcamp stuff. So that's always nice in my pocket. So I don't have to pay for every song. It's great.
No, but yes, SoundCloud and Bandcamp have been really huge on that. I've kind of fallen out of love with Beatport, if I'm honest. That used to be kind of like my go-to place, but it just feel like it's so samey. Everything is kind of just so samey there. I do buy a lot of drum and bass there just because it's an easy platform for me to learn.
Yeah, that's the spot for drum and bass for sure. But Bandcamp, you can find some really cool, unique, and quirky, weird stuff,
Mhm.
and you can go through that rabbit hole in Bandcamp, where you can just keep on going down, 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 and you're like, just find the coolest stuff. So I love Bandcamp.
Yeah, I'll have to let you come over and root through my remix folder for your show.
Oh my God. Yeah, you probably have so much stuff that would be great for the show. Honestly, I tried pitching the idea for a really long time to do Fridays guest DJs,
Mhm.
but they were really, really skeptical that anybody could, hit all the stuff that I do. But now there's definitely some DJs where I'm like, oh yeah, you could do it. Entity could do it. There's a few that could do it. So I don't know,
Shout out
but
Entity.
yeah.
So taking 2020 out of the equation, right? I mean, it's been a pretty crazy year, a lot of downtime for a lot of people with the radio show and the band and the DJ gigs. How do you stay motivated on top of all those different responsibilities? How do you like put all of your love into each one of those things separately and kind of maintain that appreciation for kind of that journey that you're on?
I mean, it's definitely a love of the music for sure.
Mhm.
Just being, the band stuff, like, there's definitely something about people all banging on stuff and hitting stuff, and it makes this song together. Like, that just, to this day, that boggles my mind, and that's one of my favorite things to do is just to get together with some people and just like make some noise, and it makes some noise, so that is an inspiration in itself. The DJing, because it's a solo mission, you're by yourself, so sometimes it's hard to find that inspiration. But when you're playing live shows and you're out there, it's the fans for sure. It's people coming up and saying, uh, I listen to you every morning, or you get me to work, or you inspire me to want to check out some electronic music, or you inspire me to become a DJ. The coolest things are the meeting the little kids, like when
Mhm.
I'll do like City of Trees and Electric Christmas, because those are all age events, and I'll DJ them. I'll try to get out in the crowd right when I'm done, And, you know, there's not a million people that want to meet me. I'm not super famous, but there's, you know, 10 or 15 people there that definitely want to talk to me. And sometimes they're just like, you know, 5, 7, 8, 9-year-old kids that are just super, super inspired by the music, that really want to get
Awesome.
into DJing. And that, to me, like, that really hits me, you know, where I don't know, that just makes me want to do it more, makes me want to keep on being better, makes me want to inspire more, you know. So I just try to always present the best, because I'm, you know, I'm hoping to inspire people. I'm hoping to, you know, open or set that path for people into electronic music or music in general, or just wanting to manipulate music on their own.
That's cool. You know, I got a soft spot for kids.
Yeah, right. Kids are awesome,
That's
man. Love
awesome, man.
kids.
To have, I mean, just I can't even imagine how amazing that must feel. Just having some little kid come up to you, be like, "Heard you on the radio, bro. That's awesome."
Yeah, I had one girl, like, because she was so little, she was like a 11-year-old, you know, preteen,
Mhm.
and she was like so excited to see me that she couldn't like talk because she was so excited. And that only happened once. So I'm assuming to famous people that happens all the time. And that was really weird, because it was like, it's okay, it's all good, you know. So I like had to wait for her to try to, you know, be able to say something. So that was super special. And it's just like, I don't know, something about kids, man. You know, when you can reach the kids, you're doing something right, you know.
Yes, child. I am just a person, and I just have a play button.
Yeah, yes, right. Yeah, I'm just a
But
human.
thank you.
Yeah, yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, thinking back on DJing, I mean, it's obviously been a long career for you. Thinking back to like when you first started DJing, what was a major struggle that you had, like learning the craft, that now you feel like you've gotten down really well?
Oh, definitely one thing like predominantly comes to mind, and it's definitely reading a when I started to DJ, I DJ'd for myself and nobody else. I
Mm,
would try to find the most obscure songs that nobody could dance to, because that's what I was into. So you learn that if you want to get booked, you know, there's an aspect of playing what you love, but also trying to interact with the crowd, you know, feeding them stuff, seeing what works, and kind of working off that. So that took a while to play in front of people and be like, you know, playing certain things, and they're like, okay, this is awful. And really what it was pleasing girls, because I didn't play girl music in the beginning. I
yeah.
played a lot of really intense stuff, you know. So it was kind of finding like, oh, well, this really works with people. And oh, you know, the vocals thing, people love the vocals, you know. So learning to read a crowd, definitely.
Yeah, that's probably the toughest one, and I think a lot of DJs kind of struggle with that, myself included. You know, through the years, is trying to figure out like how do you play something that you want to hear, but also they want to hear. Like there is a certain extent where you get big enough where people like are wanting to hear just your ear, right? But I never hit that. I never hit that. So,
Right.
you know, I've always had that kind of that balance where it's been like, okay, I'm trying to find, you know, that kind of club appropriate stuff, which is why I play a lot more cheesy when I'm doing like the kind of more dancey sets like house or breakbeat music. It's always been like a fine mix of kind of funky, cheesy, vocals that probably everyone probably rolls their eyes out, but it's like whatever, it's fun. Like if you're not
Right.
having fun, why are you here?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. It's, yeah, we're supposed to be having fun, guys. Yeah,
that's exactly right. But shout outs to all the DJs. It's a fun craft.
it
So
is. It is.
you have had a plethora of achievements. Looking back on everything you've accomplished, from Sammy's getting onto the radio, having 11-year-old swoon over you. Um, what is the accomplishment that you think back on and you're absolutely most proud of?
Um,
You don't have to be humble.
I mean, the Sammys are awesome. The Sammys are great. You know, being able to be recognized by Sacramento as, you know, being the best DJ of that year, you know, 3 times in a row, and most recently last year. That was really awesome, because the first two I kind of felt like were a fluke, because I was the only DJ in the live music scene.
Mm,
Like there's no other DJs in the live music scene, really, you know. Back, I mean, now there might be, I don't know what goes on, but back then it was like if you played live music and you saw the name Zephyr, you're like, well, that's that DJ that I know. So I kind of think that I might have won the first two just because of the name. I don't know. I'm not sure. You know, Sammys are very much a popularity contest in Midtown. So if you're popular in Midtown, you're going to win the Sammy. So winning the one for 2020, that was awesome, because I think that there was very stiff competition. Everybody was like, you know, really trying to go for it. And I think that I kind of won it for Bacterium. So I was proud of that.
Good, man.
Very, very proud of that.
Yeah, congratulations. I got nominated once. I'm
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm proud of that.
Yeah, being nominated is really awesome. And that, you know,
I certainly didn't win. There's a lot more talented DJs than me out there. So I imagine being on the radio and playing things like City of Trees and, you know, being part of a band, that's brought you into some crazy situations. What's the craziest, kind of coolest story or craziest experience that you've had just as a result of all of the opportunities you've had because of your endeavors?
I definitely have a few stories, but I'll keep it kid friendly, because I have some that are not kid friendly but are really good stories, but we're not going to do those.
I mean, we can't.
No, I'm going to keep it kid friendly, because this one's cool too. Playing, I think it was my second Electric Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
There was, I believe it was Portugal the Man and
Dope.
oh man, what's those three acoustic? They sing like Ophelia. Oh, Ophelia.
That's
I'm awful.
Lumineers.
Lumineers. So these two Lumineers are like so incredibly huge, you know. And Portugal the Man was like one of my absolute favorite bands. And I was DJing that show, but I don't get to like talk to those people. I'm the lowest of the lowest man on the totem pole when you play those shows, you know.
A couple of free beers.
Kind of like, you get on stage. Yeah, you get on stage, you get off, and you know, you do your thing. Not that, you know, they're rude to me or anything. People are awesome. I love everybody, but you're the low man on the totem pole for sure. So I kind of get shuffled around, you know, when at those shows, and nobody ever really tells me what to do. So I just like wander around, you know, Golden One, trying to get into some nonsense or whatever. And I saw that Portugal the Man and Lumineers had like a food, kind of a dressing room food thing where they were like had all this food out there. And they were all eating in there. So I was just like, I had a badge that said artist, you know, so I kind of just like walked by this security guard, flashed it really quick, kind of trying to act like I was in Portugal the Man. And I just like plopped myself onto their table and, you know, kind of introduced myself. Didn't want to be like a, you know, evade in their stuff, but I was like, man, you know, I just saw the opportunity to come introduce myself. Want to meet you guys. You guys are awesome. And they were really, really cool. You know, they we like cheers with some Pepsi and it, you know, just some silly things. But I thought, how fucking amazing was that to be able to just sit at a table and drink some Pepsi with, you know, two of the biggest bands at that time in the world, you know, and I was just able to stumble on that and just kind of pop myself in there, cheers them, you know, and then, you know, say my good dues or whatever. But that to me was just like, that's really amazing that I, you know, had that opportunity. Just crazy. Weird stuff, man. Weird stuff. That's for sure.
Dope. Jazz would be super jealous of that one.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't the biggest Lumineers fan either. I've learned to love them, but, you know, I feel like a lot of people have been like, what, the Lumineers, you know? So it's like when I tell that story, I'm like, Portugal the Man. Oh, yeah, also the Lumineers. So
that's awesome, dude. The Portugal the Man has, like, if I ever walk away from like an exploding car or something, you know, like that scene in a movie, they have the song that I want to be playing. Like, nice. I forgot what it's called, but it's like super dope. And I just always imagine myself just walking away from like an exploding car. Stupid as shit, but it's.
Oh no, but you need those. You need those songs for those opportunities in your life, you know?
Just like, boom, in case there happens to be a massive explosion. Let's have that queued up just in case.
Hear that, DJ life?
Yeah. What is Electric Christmas? I think they had the one with Glass Animals, right?
Yeah. They man, one of the best live bands I've seen. I feel like I've seen them twice. One time they opened the show and they like stole the show. They were the best band.
By far. We left after them that year. Like,
oh right, yeah.
I forgot who it was. But there was
808. I think it was Milky Chance.
Yeah, I can't get into that. I'm
Like
sorry.
all
Sorry,
house
Milky
and
Chance. If there's any reason that you're listening to this,
they're great. It's like sailor lumberjack music.
yeah,
Great.
there you go. But yeah, they're so dope, dude. Glass Animals are the sickest.
Do those beats slap so hard, dude. I'll throw those into bass mixes, like just one of their songs
I
because
mean,
their shit
I
slaps
played
so
one the
hard.
other day that was like a Glass Animals remix of Banks, and
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
dude, super sick, super sick.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
those guys. Yeah, man. So thank you very much for this. This has been awesome. Really down to earth conversation, getting to know a really talented DJ here locally. If you could leave anyone with a positive message, just think of something positive to say to give someone encouragement heading into 2021. What would that be?
I mean, I would say pay it forward.
Pay it
Just
forward.
be
That's
nice.
a good one.
Pay it forward.
There's not enough of that, man. There's a lot of taking, but not a whole lot of paying forward.
Yeah.
Good one. I appreciate that. So tell everyone before we move on to the guest DJ mix, where can we find you? Where should we be looking for Mr. Zephyr?
Well, I am on Alt 94.7 Monday through Friday, roughly 8 a.m. for about 30 minutes. And then they do a wrap up Saturday night from 9 to midnight. And then if you want to catch me live, you probably have to find me on Twitch Mondays or Fridays at 7 p.m.
Word worthwhile. What are your socials? Zephyr Bacterium everywhere, or
I am Seth Zephyr on SoundCloud and Zephyr Bacterium everywhere else. So yeah.
perfect. And I will be linking to all of those things in the description of this. So if you're listening
So
on the podcast app, you might have to go to the Facebook or Instagram post to get to those. But big ups, man. I really appreciate you taking the time today. Great conversation. Hope everyone likes it. Hope everyone gravitates towards you and your positivity, and uh, helps us all grow together, man.
yeah, right. We're all going to lift each other up, man. Appreciate you, Chris. Much love.
Yes, sir.